Now, the Gauteng government says it will remain on high alert to deal with disaster incidents that continue to hit the province since the start of the festive season. So far, there have been a number of fires in both Ekurhuleni and Johannesburg, which have claimed the lives of 4 people. A level 2 weather warning, as you also heard a few moments ago, has also been issued for the province in anticipation of severe rain and thunderstorms. Let's continue making sense of government's interventions. We're now joined by the Cooperative Governance MEC of Gauteng, that's Khumalo, who joins us via our video link this morning. It's great to have you on the program, sir. Thanks very much indeed for making time. Let's begin by just going through some of the disasters that have had to deal with since the beginning of this month. What are the nature of these disasters that you've had to face over the past several weeks?
Good morning to you and good morning to your viewers. Over the past 2 weeks or so, we've been really dealing with 2 incidents of fires, and I think you've reported on them. The one that happened in Ekurhuleni, wherein about 10 shacks were gutted on fire, and the one that happened in Soweto, which from our point of view has got serious level of criminality, and the matter is now being attended to by the SAPS. But we need to indicate that the level 2 suggests that the rain is the one that would put particularly the low-lying communities at risk at this festive. And that is why we are collaborating with municipalities to stay alert. We're working very closely with our disaster. Remember, we've got the Provincial Disaster Management Center, we've got then the Local Municipalities Disaster Management Center, and we are ensuring coordination of resources and intervention strategies as and when we receive the early warning from the SA Weather of Bureau. Thus far, we busy are interacting, and we do that every year this time around. We interact with those communities that are in low-lying risk, that is communities in informal settlement. We engage with them to create awareness on what's to be done when particularly issues of fire, issues of floods do take place in their areas. We are where we are. We can comfortably say that we are ready for any of those incidents that are there.
Yeah, and these areas are usually the same, MEC. For instance, Stretcher comes up in Alexandra year in and year out. Whenever there's heavy rainfall, we know that there are people along that riverbank who are adversely affected, and we have officials telling us that they shouldn't be there to begin with. There's going to be questions around the kind of long-term solutions that can be introduced so that, frankly, we don't have the same discussions every year.
Well, as leadership, I think at some point we must really be decisive on these particular matters, and we have already initiated these discussions around these areas. And we are right; we know these areas, and we know what's going to happen when it rains or it floods and all of those kind of things. The difficulty has been taking decisions to ensure that we move these people away from those particular areas. And as you know, there's a theory that goes around that those who want to jump the queue, for instance, to get houses and so on, uses these particular areas as their advantage and so on in order for them to be able to access some of those service delivery matters. We have to really, as I said, we're engaging with the Johannesburg City and other municipalities to primarily say to them, time has come where we've got to ensure that we move all our people from these dangerous areas as such. Premier has made an appeal to us that we've got to develop a program that would indicate how we're going to eradicate or move these people in those particular areas. I think one of the things that is important from us is consultation, irrespective of the fact that people are in areas that they're not supposed to. It is important to consult with them. It is important to engage with them, to make them to understand, so that at the end, when that action is being taken, there is cooperation and there's less tensions as such.
Yeah. To your knowledge, MEC, is there a plan, as you and I speak, to deal with this?
Well, you can say there is a plan because all of us, the stakeholders in this regard, is the local municipalities, the provincial government, and even the national government. We know exactly what is happening in those areas, and we know what are the consequences of the people to be in these areas. And we all agree that there's a need for us to move those people away from those particular areas. And we know that those people are not even supposed to have been in those particular areas are inhabitable for any human to stay in. Therefore, all that is required. And we know where are the strategic areas of development that these people can be directed to in a number of municipalities as such, where there's, or even the human settlement plans, where there is a human settlement development where these people can be accommodated and so on. The difficulty has been to ensure that as we move, because we're moving some of these people do get houses and so on and so on. The difficulty is to ensure that as we move some of these people away from those areas, none come and stay there. I think that's all. How do we close those particular areas? In that regard, I would concede and say we don't have a definite plan to say how do you close those particular areas once you have moved those particular, because you can move them to a sizable of them today. Tomorrow when you come back, there is those checks again. So in that regard, I think we're not doing very well.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're asking questions to some of the people you work with in the cooperative governance space, MEC. I mean, the mayors, for example, the councillors in some of these areas who are supposed to be your eyes and ears on the ground. What kind of response are you getting from them when you engage them about why it is that at the very least they aren't able to sustainably cordon off some of these places? Because outside of the sheer inconvenience, which is not what this is about, there's a real risk to life here, where we've heard before in some of these areas where people die.
Well, we can't wait until that happens again, because as you said, we have that experience in the past, and therefore it is important that we shouldn't allow that to happen again. When we engage as different stakeholders, there's a sense of we want the problem to be resolved. But as you know, part of it in our country is that no matter the difficulty you are faced up with, you've got to work with those people that are there and consult with them and ensure that they do understand the kind of decisions that you want to take. But as I said at the beginning of the interview, we've got to reach a stage where decisiveness prevails, where leadership prevails, and leadership should prevail in the most of the difficult times. In other words, at some point or the other, we really have to say enough is enough. We can't allow this to happen, and therefore these are the decisions that we're taking. So long as we can show that these are the things we've put in place, and these are the plans that we have, and this is how we're going to move these people to the most safer areas. We can't continue to have the communities in Gauteng staying in vulnerable and unsafe areas.
All right.
Going.
Hopefully that time is sooner than later. The MEC of Cooperative Governance in Gauteng is Khumalo. Thanks very much indeed for your time.